Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time, as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. The modern release I want to look at today was a launch title for the PlayStation 5, came straight to PS Plus day one, and that's going to be Bugsnax. I was really excited about this game because I saw some of the gameplay footage beforehand. I thought it looked really charming and fun, and it absolutely is. But underneath the charming, fun, kid-like exterior actually has some pretty deep themes and some really complex relationships between the adults in the game. Let's talk about a little bit about what Bugsnax is. You play as a Muppet-like creature known as a Grumpus, who's going to this big island to investigate the appearance of these things they call Bugsnax. They're little insects that resemble food, like pizza, cans of soda, bags of chips, burgers, stuff like that. After you eat them, your body changes to get a phenotypical feature of the snack you just ate. After getting a tool from a scientist that lives on the island, you can actually pinpoint where the food goes to like certain spots of the body of the Grumpus. So you can change their hands or their arms or part of their head. You can do different things to customize to make you look a certain way. And the Grumpuses will actually have you do certain tasks like this. They'll have you get these Bugsnax, feed them to them, and then give phenotypical features to specific parts of their bodies. So you're investigating this island, you're a journalist, and you want to find out what's going on, and you meet a lot of these characters that have been living here on this island for a while. You find a farmer that's been cultivating the little plants that grow condiments like ketchup and cheese sauce, ranch, stuff like that, and as you find more, he starts to learn how to grow more. It's very cool. So you can refill your slingshot ability, so you can coat certain things in different sauces. This is really pivotal for the gameplay because if you are utilizing these sauces, sometimes it attracts certain Bugsnax, sometimes it's a good way to set up a trap. It's really an interesting idea to utilize these different sauces and condiments to trap these Bugsnax and get them to come your way. So the main goal of this game is to catch Bugsnax. You're trying to get every single one from each area. That's like a sub-objective, kind of like Pokemon. You're trying to catch them all in each area. But then you're also doing side quests for the Grumpuses, trying to give them different Bugsnax, usually either to analyze them, to try them out, to see what happens if they eat them, if they eat a certain amount of the same Bugsnax, something like that. There's another person that you meet later on that will have a little barn and he wants to keep them as pets. He doesn't like eating the Bugsnax. He wants to raise them and keep them alive. And you'll find out that a lot of these characters have some interpersonal conflicts with each other, usually with a partner of theirs. So the farmer is having some trouble with his wife. They're butting heads a little bit. She's an archaeologist. She's learning about the ancient Grumpuses that lived on this island beforehand, trying to figure out what happened to them, why they don't exist anymore. And he's trying to cultivate the land. And as you do some side quests for them, you'll unlock new areas, but you'll also kind of help them figure things out. And as you do that, you find a really rewarding cycle of gameplay. You find this with everybody that you interact with. You'll sometimes come up with people that are just afraid for their partner. They're out just in another area. They're like, hey, I don't know where they are. They haven't been down for a while. Can you go help me find them? And then when they get talking, they work some stuff out. It's just really cool to see these relationships between characters. And they're all so different, but all very much the same at the same time. It also portrays queer relationships and portrays like a non-binary character in a very like neutral way that everybody can understand and just recognize that these characters are just normal Grumpuses like any other one. Doesn't matter their orientation or the person that they're with. It's just another normal person. I really like how they portrayed that because it's a really easy, palatable way for you to recognize something that is a very topical issue at hand. So I really like how they brought these up. I saw in some interviews that was really important for them to portray these relationships as these healthy relationships, especially for the queer ones. I just really liked that. I found that really, really helpful for me and for like playing with my kids. They really liked watching the game, and it's nice to have conversations like that with them. But aside from those little things with these side pieces that are doing, the main story is actually really rewarding as well. As you go from area to area, the Bugsnax will change and be different. You'll find certain ones in the opening area in the like falls section that have like a sandwich centipede that goes through. You have like little bananas that hop between trees. You have little strawberries. If you get into like the desert area, you have a barbecue bacon burger. You have like things that are on fire because they're like hot snacks and stuff like that. It's really interesting how they implement the environment environment to reflect the type of snack that lives there. And the way that you capture the snacks will vary from place to place. I mentioned earlier about the slingshot. If you use the slingshot, you can coat certain things in different types of sauces. If you coat something in ketchup in the earlier area with the hamburger nearby, it will charge at them and stun them because it really wants the ketchup on the snack. And so then you can run up and catch them. Other ones, you can take a picture of them with your camera to see the path that they walk, the typical path that they're going to go. You can set up a trap. Certain ones will walk right into the trap. You can remote click it from afar, and then you can capture them. Some are too big for that, so you have to think more creatively, either utilizing your sauce slingshot or by doing something a little bit more deep. Later on in the game, you'll find like a popsicle a Bugsnax that is really large and frozen, and if you approach it, it'll freeze you as well. So you have to lure it to a place like a fire or a lava pit to get it to unthaw, and then you can go and catch it. Or you can try and split it apart into two by like launching it off a spring pad. There's so many creative ways to catch these Bugsnax, and that's where the gameplay really shines. Hardly any snack is caught the same way. You have to be really innovative. You have to be creative with the tools you have. You'll get things like a little tripwire that's shocking that you can set up to try and capture Bugsnax that are going through that path. You have to catch them out of the air sometimes. A lot of what you do depends on what the type of snack you're looking for. Ones that are in the air that are also on fire are pretty difficult to catch, so you have to be creative. And the game rewards you for your creativity. The more that you experiment with the game, the more you'll find. Now let's talk about the Dualsense and how they utilize the Dualsense. I mentioned the camera. When you click up the camera, this was one of the first games I played on my PlayStation 5, so all of a sudden my right trigger felt like it was sticky. I was like, what's going on? I tried pushing it down and I was able to click it, but it felt like there was so much resistance against it. And I was worried that my controller was defective, but it would just do it randomly. And I finally realized it's when I pull up the camera, it's simulating a camera click. Like you have to press it halfway down and you have to push it all the way down to get the full camera click. It's brilliant and it actually feels like it. I was wondering why it felt so sticky. Well, it's just simulating a camera click. Same thing with the slingshot that you have. When you hold the button down, it pulls the slingshot back, and then you hold it in place long enough, it starts to shake like you're losing your grip on the resistance. It's brilliant. The way they make use of the DualSense haptic feedback is really cool, and I like it a lot. Now that it's multi-platform, you might not get quite the same experience in other controllers, but I'm sure it's just fine. But on the DualSense, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I love that it was a nice showcase for the controller and what it could possibly do. Wish they'd done more things like this for other games, but that's usually how it goes with a gimmick at the beginning of a console generation. So as you get through the story, there are twists and turns. It actually becomes very adult. There are very like adult situations that you're presented with. You'll get a little more, I don't want to say too much about the story because I don't want to spoil anything. It's definitely worth playing. It has so many twists and turns, and by the time you get to the end, you'll be kind of jaw agape because it is quite an interesting story that they tell. For a game that's really colorful and creative, and a game that you don't die ever, like even if you fall off a mountain, you just reload right away back like you just gotten yourself up and picked yourself back up. You can jump off super high heights and not sustain any damage. You don't take damage. You can freeze and catch on fire, and eventually you'll just put yourself out. You'll break out of the ice. I like that this game is really accessible for new players. You're not going to have any real difficulty with this game. Trying to catch some of the snacks might be more difficult. It might make you think out of the box. Some of the trophies are a little bit harder. You might need to use YouTube videos to figure out how to catch like all the snack pods in an area within a certain time limit. Stuff like that is maybe a little more challenging, but the main gameplay is pretty easy and accessible, and getting all the way to the end is so fun and rewarding. The boss fights are pretty fun. They're fairly innovative. They're not groundbreaking by any means, but they're a nice change of pace. Now, the game is not perfect. There are some little technical hiccups here and there. The platforming is not great. You can have light platforming throughout the game. It's not always the best, and so sometimes, like when you land on something, you might slip back off and fall down where you thought you should have landed. Like little hiccups like that. Sometimes the tools that you use, the traps and stuff, don't work exactly the way you expect them to. But that's few and far between. The overall experience is pretty darn strong. And for a launch title for the PlayStation 5, this indie title that's really interesting in the way that it's designed, this new story that it's telling, and especially with the characters that it portrays, it's a really great showcase overall. They also launched free DLC with a new area that you can explore. It was also a lot of fun. I love Bugsnax. I had a great time with it. While it's not perfect, it is a really fun time. Now that it's on multi-platform, I highly encourage you to go get it when it's on sale. I'm going to give Bugsnax a gold rank. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.